Hello, 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 everyone. We're live. Yes. Welcome to Video Cliff Notes for Entrepreneurs. I am your girl, Sunny Bate Mitchell, also known as Savvy Sunny in these digital streets, coming to help my entrepreneurs be able to get the success that they want, right? So we are reviewing the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. The One Thing, that's the book we've been going over. So we are around what, chapter 10, chapter 11. I'm going to touch back on chapter 10 tonight and then kind of move into chapter 11. And I'm not going to be before you all too long, but there's some things I wanted to kind of review. Um, and so thank you all for joining in. And if you are joining in for your first time, drop your name, drop what city, what state you're chiming in from. Also, if you do have a business, drop your business. If you have a hobby that you do, hey, I just bake on the side, or I make this, I craft, or if you are a artist, music artist, or an actual with artwork, right? You create designs, or some kind of different ways that you are creative. Drop what you do. What is your specialty? Because this is what we're here for. How can we be able to move forward and find success, not just in business either? Because all of this goes hand in hand, right? It's our personal life, and as well, if we do have a business. And sometimes our business is us. Meaning, if you are a person that is a career professional, well, guess what? It's you. You are the product, right? It's all about selling you to as well to the world. So it doesn't matter whether or not you want to call yourself an entrepreneur or not. You can still gain something, is what I'm saying, from being a part of this conversation, and that's what it is. I'm here actually learning. I'm learning with you, and we are learning together. And so that's where I'm sharing my takeaways and sharing some of the things that I'm gaining from this particular book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. They do have a website, The One Thing, and it's actually the number one. So the1thing.com, and they have some resources on there that you can actually download. So go check it out. So we are touching back on to a little bit of chapter 10. So yesterday I kind of touched on it, and we had started going over the focusing questions, and it was a little bit intense, I think, over there. And I was like, you know what? Let me save it and talk about it a little bit today. And so we were talking about, so chapter 10 was talking about we all have this strategic compass. And so we have to learn how to really kind of tap into those, to our strategic compass. And so they kind of used, of course, the whole book is about the surprising truth behind extraordinary results. So, how can we get these extraordinary results? A lot of times we look at other people and we're like, how can I be, like them? Or how can I, have the success that I see them have? It may not be the exact thing that they have, but you want the level of success. And so we have to now know how to break that down. How did they get there? And so even within the book, they've been going back and forth between like entrepreneurs from the past. And like in chapter 10, they talked about Carnegie having the largest steel company in the world. And so he did that. Why? Because he focused on one thing. Eventually he moved into the railroad system, but one thing, he did one thing at a time very well. And so they were always taught, we are sometimes taught, oh, create, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I don't know. Have you all ever heard of that? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know I have. Raise your hand if you have. Type a one, put a one in the comments if you've ever heard anybody tell you, don't put all your eggs into one basket. Yeah, I've heard it many, many, many times. And so that's kind of what we thought, right? To keep spreading ourselves out. Like, don't put everything here. Don't put all of our effort here. But the real secret, I think we need to unlearn that. So Carnegie made a comment. He said, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch it closely. And he said, and they were saying, actually, based off of what he was just saying, is that sometimes when you carry too many baskets, you have a risk of dropping some of those baskets. And that's gives you more risk to what break the eggs. But if you have one basket and you're closely watching it, you're monitoring it, then you are less at risk of dropping or breaking those eggs, right? Because you're focused on one thing. So it's like, that makes so much sense, right? And so thank you, Lovey Josh. I'm just saying words. Okay, yeah, I am saying words. These are words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm glad you pointed that out. Oh, that's awesome. But yes, I'm live here on TikTok. I'm live here on Instagram, on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook and YouTube. And so yeah, just sharing takeaways from the one thing. Of course, going over right now, chapter 10 is called the focusing question. And so it was just saying, just more about like I said, trying to carry too many baskets, you're at risk of dropping and breaking most of those eggs. And so the secret to success is actually just getting started, right? Just getting started and then trying to focus on that one thing, whatever that one thing is for you. And it's going to be different for everybody. And so then the second part of that, the secret, is really also breaking then the complex, the overwhelming tasks down. Now you can put those into the smaller baskets, but it's still focusing on your big overall thing, is focusing on that one thing. And so that's where we have to kind of go back. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Like, even when I'm helping people with their business, as far as like to create automations and building landing pages, sometimes I have to go backwards. That's what I've been realizing. And that's even where it's like, how can I help and be able to provide better services about understanding how to help people more, right? Because I'm coming in after people have already kind of started, usually initially. Sometimes I am in the front end of it. And so even at the front end, how do I help someone else develop the right thinking to be able to plan out their business, with a structure, so they don't have to go back and forth, because then that's what takes long. And so even sometimes when I'm building out systems, sometimes people already created parts of systems because it wasn't fully thought out. And so then it takes more work to undo what they did and not break it, right? And then rebuild it the way it should be without kind of interfering with any of their business. So that's been my biggest challenge. And so that's what I am here to, even seeing how this one thing can help me to be able to help, the clients that I work with. So yeah, so the other big thing is, so yeah, that one first question, right? To get started, we have to have that one focus question, which is, like I said, what chapter 10 was about. And that one is it's also dealing with the quality of the questions that you ask. So questions are truly, truly powerful. And it's who we can also put ourselves around to ask the correct question, right? To get us the result that we want, or get us to the answers that we need to be able to implement, to move forward, right? To create that first step, right? We have to have that first step to even just get started towards success. But also knowing, how do we do that with the right questions? So great questions lead to what? Great answers. So that's what we need to be able to do. And so the same thing about, if you take that first step towards success, it needs to be actually the right first step. There's also that risk of that first step being a misstep. Why? Because if we don't ever ask the identifying questions we need to ask, either it puts us on the wrong track. And like I said a minute ago, about how sometimes we can go places and we're thinking we're building this, but sometimes because the right question wasn't asked, we missed some steps in between, right? And so we end up having now to backtrack, and backtracking. That's what sometimes even gets us frustrated. And some people, they just give up. Like, it's not going to work. Well, it's not that it won't work. It's just that we need to go back, organize the thoughts and the ideas more structurally, and then now go back and now attack them one at a time, right? In the order that they should go in. And that is by asking those questions. So, it's about inventing the questions. You have to really be able to kind of segment what it is that you wanting to do, and then start um, to really hone in closer. The more you start focusing in on what you're trying to accomplish, and you focus it on to the target, then you're able to come up with the questions that you need to ask. And even sometimes that question, I think in chapter 11, they kind of went into what kind of questions you should ask. And I know that's the part that everybody's like, well, what are the questions? You keep talking about focusing on the right question. So yes, I went back to chapter 10 to kind of give a segue into starting to, learn what are those questions. So yeah, they said the right question helps you to line up your priority of task, right? If you do the right task first, then you can create the right first step, right? That you will be able to now follow the next step after another. And so it's the whole thing in focusing helps us to force us to specifics, because it's the specifics that we get to in the task that help us to create that momentum to be able to reach the results that we really want. So that's what it is. It's just finding that right direction, and then now being able to implement the action in that direction that we need to be able to reach or complete that task. So it said, do it the right way at the right time. And so in there, the author kind of breaks it down into pillars in our life. All right. And we talked about both personal and business. And hello, greetings from Atlanta, Andrea. Thank you for joining in for Cliff Notes for Entrepreneurs. And hey, hello, Unique. Thank you for joining in as well. And so the author broke it down into like pillars. And so that's where sometimes we think about success. We're like, we look at it as one big glob, right? One target is what I'm trying to say. And it really isn't just one target. And that's why it feels so overwhelming sometimes. So how he said is, for him specifically, he broke it down into about, I think it was about 5 or 6 pillars. He did his spiritual. He did a pillar like, or let's create buckets. So he did a bucket for spiritual, a bucket for personal health, a bucket for relationships, a bucket for, he separated his in job, and then a separate bucket for business, and then his last bucket was financial. And so he looked at those are his cornerstones of life. That's how he separated them. And so when he separated them, he looks at them as separate targets now, separate buckets. They have to be addressed individually. And so what you're able to do then you can specifically ask the right question, y'all. That's where the thing is. We've been asking we've probably been asking the right question, but targeted to the wrong, I'll say, target. And so by breaking it down, then we can get more specific. And so you can ask now the question, what is the one thing I can do to be able to grow spiritually, right? You are asking a specific question. And overall, how can I just be successful? Well, what kind of success are you looking for? What areas are you looking for it in? And what specifically does it look like for you? What is your overall goal in spiritual, right? To be spiritual. And so, if that is, hey, I want to be able to know all the books of the, of a Bible, or I want to know, certain scriptures, or I want to be able to meditate, or I want to be able to travel, and study with monks, something, whatever your goal is, that is a part of your spiritual bucket, then that's where you start to put into the different tasks that you need to be able to accomplish it. And so the same thing with your personal health, it's specifically, what can I do to exercise? And even if when you want to do the action part, so it's a 2-part, is what I want to do this, and then specifically, what exercise will I do today to be able to reach this goal? So y'all see that? It's a two-part. So first is the overall target question, right? To be able to get you to focus. And then the second one is the action that it takes to be able to get to reach that goal. And so that's how we have to start thinking about everything that we want in life in those 2 perspectives. The same thing, with your overall, your personal, so your other bucket was about, just personal, even relationships. So it's like, what is the one thing I can do to relieve my stress? And then you can specifically, go into that second question of the action is, what will I do today? Or this, even if it's in the morning or whatever, what can I do today right now to relieve my stress? Is it, can I read some affirmations? Can I listen to some music? Can I dance? So now you get to the specific part. And then for say your job or for a career, it's like, okay, well, what can I do? What is the one thing I can do to further my career? You have to ask that question if you want your career to continue to develop. So that's what I mean by we have to focus in on that one thing that we really want to be able to attain the success we really want and get the results. So first is to we focus on the success. Yeah, we want to be able to achieve something. But now the next part is the action that it takes to be able to achieve that thing. Okay, so that's where we are. Chapters 10 and 11. Like I said, I'm not going to hold you out long. It is a holiday weekend for many, many people around the globe. It is our Easter weekend here in the United States, in case you are chiming in from overseas. And so that is where I'm going to leave you all tonight to kind of think about. Start thinking about those pillars. What are your pillars in your life that you really want to kind of segment up as your overall success? I want you all to be able to message me, or drop it into the comments on this same replay when you come back. Think about it over the weekend, and then come back on, say, Monday, and just drop in there. These are my pillars I really want to focus on, and then let's start there, and then we'll go through and start trying to create those actions. What are the actions we need now to start to be able to attain those targets, or those goals within each one of the pillars itself? So thank you all for joining in. Blessings to you all around this world. Y'all know I love you all, and I want to see each and every one of you all win. So I'm going to let you all go and have a wonderful evening. This is your girl, Sane Bate Mitchell, also known as Savvy Sane, coming to you all with video cliff notes for the everyday entrepreneur. And I just thank you all for joining in. So good night and blessings to you all.